Hello students, welcome to the YouTube channel of Get Set Law by IMS. I'm your verbal ability mentor Sanjana ma'am, and today let's decode another editorial piece. So for the ones who are new to this, I've already done a couple of editorial decoding videos previously, so you may go and watch those videos as well to gain more insights. So right off the bat, let's kickstart our editorial decoding session for today. Some of the important takeaways that you can have are identifying the important ideas. What is the central idea? And do I really have to read the entire passage? Do I read it word for word? And how do I understand the meaning of difficult words in the passage? Is there a way I could decode the meaning given the context? Right? So these are some of the questions that you might have. Some of the questions you can also find answers to. Okay. So the piece that I have today is actually something, it's relevant for 3 exams. One is CLAT. It's also very likely a passage of a similar nature. I'm not saying the exact passage, but something of a similar level of difficulty, something related to a similar topic. So there's CLAT, there's ALET, and it also happens to be a very good topic for NLSAT preparation. So this is also for the students preparing for 3-year LLB exam for NLSAT. This is also a very good passage to read, right? Because passages there itself are also quite of a similar nature. So let's start reading the passage. We have the title. You don't have to read the title. Honestly, if you want, you can chuck the title, because in these exams, we are not given passages with titles. In fact, if anything, we are asked questions on titles, right? So the first paragraph actually, here the author is narrating something that actually happened, which is dating back to 1916, when the Canadian Parliament in Ottawa burned down. Okay, the fire started in the reading room packed with newspapers and records going back to a century. Overnight, the country's administration had found space for it at the Victorian Memorial Museum. A press gallery was installed on a bridge between staircases. You might have observed that here I skipped a couple of statements because, you don't have to read the introduction here. Sometimes you have to be so polished with your reading skills that, a cursory glance at the first paragraph and you can tell if it's important or not important to read. All right, so I did skip some lines deliberately because I knew that the main point of, including this in the introduction is to talk about that even during disruptive times, such as that which is given in the example, a press gallery was installed, because here the author wants to talk about the freedom of the press, the freedom of the media, how important, how crucial it is, but the same is also now, facing some consequences of it being restricted. Okay, so I recently read this account, says the author here. What struck me was that a press gallery was established even in a makeshift parliament, even during disruptive times, even when it wasn't really a feasible solution or an option, right? Now, here is where the crux of the entire passage starts. The media is not an inconvenience. It is something which is required, right? It's an elementary part of a parliamentary democracy in a country like India. Okay, and then she goes on to give the example of the first Secretary General, where the general quotes, under the British system, which India mimics, the desire is to ventilate grievances and not so much to secure decisions, as decisions generally follow party lines, irrespective of the weight of the debate on either side. Right? So the debates are intended more for the public outside. Now, this is an important statement. In order to enable them to form their opinion, to actively engage in discussions on important topics, right? About the party of the people who are working in the best interest. Without press corps reporting on debates for the public, can this end be achieved, right? So she goes on to quote the first Secretary General of the Lok Sabha, M.N. Kaul, because there is some depth to his statements, right? And definitely a question on inference can also be framed on this, right? Which of the following can be inferred from the passage? And I can just fashion a very fancy statement out of these words given and maybe make it a very difficult question for students to interpret. Right? So this passage, I can easily make close to, 5 to 6 questions on CLAT, ALET, even NLSAT, right? Now again, when you read further, this is some bit of more factual information. The first edition of Practice and Procedure of Parliament, written by Kaul and his former deputy. Now, if you want, I'd suggest you can still choose to skip this part and only revisit it whenever we have a question popping up on it. Okay, so what I'm trying to explain here are two things. One, how do you actually read a passage? Do you have to read it in its entirety? Well, if you feel you have the luxury of time, go ahead. It's a good practice, right? But let's just say you don't have a lot of time. Do you really have to read everything? No, just read enough to know what the main idea is about, right? It's an editorial at the end of the day. And if an editorial sort of gets asked as a passage in the exam, then definitely there are some passages you can cherry pick and not read entirely. This happens to be one of them, right? So there are two targets we are going to achieve through this session. Now, this is important. There is a jarring difference between what one reads in the book and the daily reality, right? And the column has often detailed the various restrictions on the press and parliament. You know, when I was talking about the introduction, I did touch upon this a little bit, that today the press sort of faces consequences in the form of restrictions being put on it. But I hadn't read it, further. So this is what good reading is. You could intuitively sort of just, know what is the next information to come. I could also frame a question on paragraph completion based on this, right? So there are restrictions imposed on the press in parliament. It has to be said again and again. Inside the parliament building, there are red lines drawn for the press and not just figuratively, right? So the author does not just mean it literally, but also metaphorically, right? Even outside parliament in the courtyard, between the new building and the old, there are retractable barriers put up to keep the press out. Okay? Now here the author wants to narrate a personal event where she was deliberately not let in, right? In a parliament session, right? And then some information is given here that by the time, she actually did want to get in, the MPs had started streaming out. Many of them, both from the ruling party opposition, recognized me. So she was not allowed to enter or move further, even though she was recognized by a couple of the MPs there. She was a familiar face, right? So they did recognize her, but no one of them intervened or asked what the argument was about. So ultimately, what the narrator here is trying to tell, what the author here is trying to tell, is that it was a futile. So the word here is futile, which means pointless. So a new word is what you get to learn today, right? It was a pointless attempt on my part. The security personnel are bound by the directions of the administration, and I was rallying against people who did not decide the rules, right? So what does the author imply when she says it was a futile attempt on my part? Why does she use this sentence? What is the purpose of this paragraph? I can frame a question just like that, right? Why was it a futile attempt? Because she was just sort of feeling angered at the security personnel who actually did not really have a role in this, because these rules are decided by somebody else. It's not the security personnel who controls it. Perhaps I was airing my frustration, like I said, right? After all, these were the same grounds that several of my colleagues and I had strolled around without restrictions until the new parliament was constructed. Now, the author likes to end by talking about the British Raj. Reporters were given leeway, right? This is how free they felt, right? In the Central Legislative Assembly to self-regulate. This was the case in Parliament, in newly independent India as well. The media has functioned for a long time, mindful of parliamentary rules. So why do we need concrete red lines now? Why do journalists need to be herded around by security personnel? So she is now here airing her grievance here. I retreated that day angry with myself for causing a minor scene, but looking back, I feel angrier. We have been retreating behind those lines. We have been conceding ground, and every time we leave without protest, we are pushed back further. So why does the author say that she felt even angrier after that day? I can frame another question, an interpretation-based question. So what I'm trying to suggest here is these paragraphs here, the last two paragraphs are very important for understanding the author's emotions. What are the reasons that drive the author to feel all the more angry at the issue even after the day the incident happened, right? And this is what would really lead somebody to frame so many questions out of a passage. You might be of the opinion, ma'am, I would read this. This is an editorial piece. I do understand the main idea. But is it sort of important to read every editorial? And how do you think editorials can help us perform better in the English language part of these exams? Just now is what I've reiterated, just like that. Okay. So just read it. You try and understand, what the main idea is, what the core ideas are. If you could understand the meaning of the word futile here in the third last paragraph here, right? It was a futile attempt on my part. The security personnel are bound by the direction. So it's not like they could do anything about it. So it was a pointless exercise, right? So many new words, a lot of new ideas, ways different questions could be asked out of this is what we have learned from today's session, right? Did I have to read everything? No, I didn't particularly find a lot of importance here unless I would have a question asked on it. Otherwise, if you're just reading an editorial for the sake of daily reading practice, then you can go and, choose to read the entire passage here. But if there is paucity of time, definitely you can skip some statements. And how do you understand, how do you identify those skippable statements is by virtue of reading more regularly, and you will slowly and steadily get the hang of it. So that was it about today's editorial session. Hope you liked the video. All comments are welcome. If you want any query, any help with any query, let us know in the comment section. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day.